Hello my Halloween friends, and welcome to another 31 Days of Halloween video. Today we're turning ourselves into a raven, and boy oh boy, did I struggle with this one. I believe this is my 5th attempt to get a look that I liked. Yeah, it was quite the process, but it reminded me that sometimes you have to make a lot of bad art to make any good art. So let's jump into some good art. We started today's look by gluing down our brows, but not necessarily blocking them out, as well as covering myself in the palest foundation in my arsenal, simply because we all know that I wish that I was this pale all the time, not just around Halloween. I'm using a medium blue eyeshadow to fill in my lid, my transition area, and then dragging it up towards my eyebrows on a big fluffy brush. And then using a matte black eyeshadow, I'm gonna hit the very top inner corner of that blue across the brow area, and then also down my nose as to be like a really harsh kind of contour, because eventually it's going to create that like sharp, angular, like bird-like kind of shape. You'll notice that here when I feather it across my brows, I keep it large, fluffy, and a little caterpillar-y. That's exactly what you want. This is going to provide the base for our feathers later, so it's okay if it doesn't look super precise or even cute. So overall, this has kind of left us with a rather rounded shape here in the center of the face, but since we want something a little bit more sharp and bird-like, we actually need to go ahead and create that. So in an effort to give us more angles, we are going to be taking that same black eyeshadow and feathering that from the top outer corner of our eyes, dragging it up and tapering out towards our temple. This is going to create like a fairly sharp like V kind of shape. We're gonna add more and a deeper shade of blue as well here into the outer corner of the eye, and then down under and across that lower lash line as well. Next, we're going to be using the P. Louise base to carve out a very dramatic crease. So we're going to be dragging the inner and the outer corners of that cut up and out into, again, that sharp tapered V, and then exaggerating the inner corner especially down to create that like sharp, angular, bird-like kind of vibe. I set the base with a white eyeshadow off camera because you didn't need to see that. To make these pop, we're going to be outlining this new shape with a thin black line. I used the black outliner from the Morphe collection. And then to kind of highlight this as well, we're using my Ride or Die white liquid liner, blank space, also from Morphe. And we are going to hit the inside of that black line in an effort to make like the white portion of this new like cut crease kind of pop, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So this is going to be our bird base, but now we need the details. And these details are pretty much what's gonna separate this bird from being like the one that you're gonna see in the middle of your dining room table next month. When we're done with this part, it looks hella detailed, intricate, and almost a little bit complex. But the truth is that it's just a bunch of paint strokes. I start with black in the very outer corner of our lower lash line. Using a stiff black brush, I add a few little ticks or flicks of paint, and I'm going to be building those strokes up and out, following the same shape that we outlined with our eyeshadow, or curving downward here on the very outer corner of our lower lash line. I hit the inner corner of my eyes to feather out my little brows, and then I ran those colors along the nose as well because I really wanted this shape to be emphasized. I did this rather gingerly as to ensure that I was getting the exact shape that I wanted, and then as I transitioned into other colors, I was a little bit more lax with like the strokes of the paint, got a little bit more whimsical. Basically, I just got into it. And even though I am well aware that ravens are pretty much black, I really wanted the look to be more intricate than that. I wanted the colors to pop. So here we are. Black first, followed by a bluish gray, and then finally some white, because you guys know I just love it. And of course, I dragged that inner corner down a little bit lower as well. I used that same big fluffy brush from earlier to kind of smoke out any of that leftover shadow here around our lips to create like a sexy kind of gradient before applying a black lipstick. And then I shed my jacket because we're about to get into all our feathery colored detail. But before we do that, you know that no fantasy character of mine is complete without the dots. And so I added black dots. I just love it. Oh, and also I picked up these feathers from the craft store, and I thought that our lower lash line could use just a little bit more like whimsy, a little bit more drama. So I glued 2 to each side just to kind of give it a little bit of like a 3D like woo. I could glue them to my face and basically hide any mistakes that I would make with paint, since it just was not working for me any other time I tried it. But I actually really loved the way that the paint looked, so in an effort to still incorporate the feathers, I just kind of glued them to my lower lash line, 2 on each side, just to give us a little bit more of a 3D pop. So the neck is rather simple to accomplish, but beautiful and striking when it is finished, or so I think, but I'm a little biased, okay? We are going to be using this fluffy feathered bristle brush to create strokes. Light blue at first, followed by purple, and then black. My goal is to see individual bristles and strokes across the neck, as I love, love, love the texture of it, and I think that it's more like feathery. An avant-garde kind of feathery, but feathery all the same. And although I want the overall look of the neck to read as black, I don't necessarily want to power any of the lighter colors that I put underneath, because I love the texture and the dimension of having all of those paints layered. Speaking of texture, you know I had to add more black dots here on the neck as well, because it just kind of fits my MO, my style, my aesthetic. And then I went back to that lighter blue and I added some dots in lighter blue, as well as some fairly like thick kind of blue strokes here into the neck, just because I wanted to, and I really like the way that it turned out. Finally, we are going to add a flick throughout the neck of that thin white line, that eyeliner, to make it like pop, 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 pop. And then of course, we had to tie in that same white from the face, not only from being pale, but also that we did in our feathers. So we're gonna tie in that feathery white here into the neck with little light strokes as well. And then looking at everything overall, I felt like my cheeks needed to be hollowed out a bit so I could be like a more gaunt looking bird. And so I took a gray eyeshadow and I just gave myself a little bit of a chisel. If we're gonna be a bird, we're gonna be a snatch bird, okay? Oh, okay. All right, beautiful people, and that is going to be it for today's Halloween tutorial. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. I actually really love the way that this look turned out. It may be one of my favorites, which is ironic because I struggled with it the most, and even thought about not doing it this year for Halloween because I was so frustrated that I couldn't get it right. But that just goes to show you that perseverance is key. I hope you guys have a wonderfully fun, safe, somewhat spooky day. Don't forget to subscribe if you are not already. Please share this video with a makeup loving friend, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.